gluten-free is like your best friend in the situation. Hey friends, I hope your week is off to a great start. It's been a while since we did a baking recipe together, so today I'm really excited to do something from Claire Saffitz's cookbook, What's for Dessert? These are the lime squiggle cookies. But I'm not going to do the recipe just as written in the book. I'm going to remix it a few different ways. We're going to do lime and blood orange, regular flour, gluten-free flour, piped cookies, and hand-rolled cookies. 6 different components that we're changing here, so hopefully no matter what your preferences are at home, you'll have a better idea of what to expect when you try this recipe out. I do want to thank Bianca for commenting that she wanted to see more Claire Saffitz recipe test videos and for recommending this cookbook. If you'd like to see something, let me know in the comments down below. I'm always happy to take requests. And without any further ado, let's get right into it. Here in a medium bowl, I've got my all-purpose flour. To that, I'm going to add the cornstarch and kosher salt. And we'll give this just a quick whisk to combine. Perfect. We can set this aside and move on to the wet ingredients. In a large bowl, I've got my cream cheese and butter at room temperature. To that, I'm going to add powdered sugar. We are going to need lime juice for this, so I've got a few limes. Mine are feeling a little bit firm. So what I like to do when my limes are a little bit tough is give them a good roll on the counter, just kind of getting the juices flowing a bit. We only need 2 tablespoons, but these limes are pretty small, so I'm going to just juice them all. I'm going to save the peels because we're going to need this zest as well. In retrospect, it would have been a lot smarter to zest my limes first and then juice them, but this is where we are, so we're going to make it work. And I need 2 teaspoons of lime zest, so I'm going to just zest all of these limes. And that looks like about 2 teaspoons to me, so we can go ahead and get this mixed together. Since we're doing such a small amount of mixing, I'm just using my hand mixer here. This is my Breville mixer that has the little scraper beaters on the bottom. So I like this because I don't have to stop and scrape as often, and also it doesn't make that really annoying clanging sound of the metal against the glass bowl. I'm going to beat this on medium-low just until everything's combined. Then I'm going to crank it up to high and beat for about a minute. That's been exactly 1 minute. That looks pretty good. I'm going to do a quick scrape just for good measure. This is looking great. It's a little bit fluffy, but not super aerated, so we can add in our final liquids. I'll do 2 tablespoons of our fresh lime juice, along with 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And I'll just mix this on medium-low until it's combined. All right, perfect. So this is looking great, and final step of the batter, we're just going to add in the dry ingredients. And again, with my mixer, just going in on low speed to get it combined. I'm going to do a quick toss with the hand scraper just to make sure that everything's evenly incorporated. That actually looks really great. So now we are ready to form our cookies. So for piping the cookies, I've got a disposable pastry bag here fitted with an open star tip. This is a Wilton 1M. And I'm only going to put in a portion of the dough since we're going to be piping and rolling today. And I'm going to smush it down with my hands just to get out all the air pockets and then finish it off with the bench scraper. We are ready to go. I'm a little bit nervous because the dough does feel a little bit stiff. My kitchen's kind of cool today. I do like to twist the bag up pretty tight and then wrap it around my finger just to give me a little bit more control with my hand here. To avoid a rupture, I'm going to try to keep my hand pressure around the perimeter of the bag just so that there aren't any bulgy spots. And you can pipe these really close together. We're going to pop them in the fridge to firm up a little bit more before we bake, so you don't need to have them spread out or anything. This is definitely a lot more difficult than I expected. It does seem like if you squeeze more from the bottom part of the bag, you have a little bit more control. I think you're getting more force to push it out versus squeezing from the top. The pressure's kind of going outward. So I am kind of squeezing more with my left hand, and the right hand is just preventing the dough from moving up in the bag. So that is about half of our dough piped. Now I'm gonna roll the other half and let's see how that goes. So out onto the clean surface, I've got the remainder of my dough. Just gonna roll this into a log. 2 logs would be a little bit more manageable actually. And I think we'll want this to be about the same diameter as the cookies that we piped so that we can bake them all together. 4-inch cookies. And then let's see if we can bend them on the tray just so that they look a little bit cute still. I'm going to pop these in the fridge just for about 20 minutes to let them firm up a bit before we bake them. While those are chilling, I'm going to do this entire process again for the orange gluten-free variety. The benefit of doing it twice is we get to fix our mistakes from the first time. Whole oranges getting zested. In the time it took to make the orange cookies, our lime cookies have chilled for long enough. The oven has preheated, so we are ready to bake. And these baked for a total of 19 minutes. You can see that there's a little bit of browning on some of the tips starting. So I'm liking the way this is looking. I'm going to let these cool for a bit while I bake the orange ones, and then we'll be ready to glaze. And our lime cookies are cool to the touch right now. It's been about 20 to 25 minutes. So we're going to make the glaze and then finish these up. In a bowl here, I've got powdered sugar. To that, I'm going to add a tablespoon of melted butter along with the lime juice. I've got some extra lime juice I'm going to keep on the side in case I need to adjust consistency. We'll just whisk that together. And this looks nice and smooth. I really like the texture. I think this is going to do a good job coating our cookies. So one at a time, we're just going to go lightly on the surface of the icing. For efficiency's sake, I'm going to glaze a few of these at a time, and that way I don't have to keep picking up and putting down my zester. And my glaze is starting to get a little bit thick, so I'm going to add just a little bit more lime juice to thin it out. So I think these are looking great. While we let these dry, I'm going to repeat that entire process with our orange cookie. The glaze has been drying for about 20 minutes, and this is the finished product. Overall, I think the lime ones look really cute. I definitely prefer the piped version versus the rolled version. However, I mean, in a pinch, I think that this would work. I just really like all the ridges. I think it holds the glaze a lot prettier. You get a little bit more browning on the edges. So overall, aesthetically, I think piping is the way to go. But let's see how it tastes. Wow. The lime is super, super bright. I think that's the glaze coming through. I really like that. Cookie texture is nice. It's very tender. Overall, this is phenomenal. Let's see about our little rolled friend here. Okay. So it's the same idea. This feels much denser to me. And I think that's because it is, right? Like we were rolling it out, and so that kind of compacted the dough a little bit more, whereas the piped versions went into the bag and we kind of just extruded them down. So it was a little bit more aerated. It doesn't melt quite as quickly. Still very tender, still delicious. It's like an 8 out of 10, which is still good, but the piped one is like a 10 out of 10. And then for the blood orange cookies here. So unintended consequence of blood oranges, this is a very misleading aesthetic. Like this to me is saying like raspberry, strawberry, like not orange. And so yeah, the zest is helping a little bit. So I think I would just think twice about doing the blood orange because it's a little bit misleading. Let's see how it tastes though. The flavor is really good. The texture on these I think is actually even better than the lime ones. This is the gluten-free version. I think generally for shortbread, gluten-free flours are such a great solution because you want the cookie to not have a lot of gluten formation anyhow. So gluten-free is like your best friend in the situation. This is phenomenal. Like I said, the lime one was 10 out of 10. So this is 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10, and then the lime one is either 9 or 10. All right, let's see about this guy. Yeah, so the gluten-free hand-rolled is actually the worst of the bunch here. It's still good. The texture of this is like when you think of a bad gluten-free baked good, it's really like dense and heavy and chewier than it necessarily needs to be. That's how this feels. And so I don't think I would recommend the gluten-free hand-rolled. If you have to do gluten-free and you can't extrude it through the piping bag, I might just roll them out like cutout cookies or put it in a log and slice it off like Claire mentioned in the book. But I would not recommend hand rolling. I think that this is just compacting the dough too much. Overall, I am super pleased with this recipe. I have so much respect for Claire in the way that she develops these and the precision that she's using for the recipes. The amount of glaze was down to like the half teaspoon for how much we needed to cover the cookies, and it just shows so much thought and consideration and respect for the work she's doing and the bakers at home, so I am a fan of that. I would definitely make this recipe again. I think next time I will probably go for like a ruby red grapefruit. I think that would be phenomenal. I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, please be sure to give me a big thumbs up and click subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.